Hi, I'm Amanda McCoy-Flanagan.
And I'm Ginny Oliva-Smith. Welcome to Soul Rising.
On this podcast, you will hear honest, off-the-cuff, vulnerable conversations about all things love, loss, and connection.
Deep and meaningful conversations sure to pull at your heartstrings and enlighten your soul.
Again, welcome. It's time to let your soul rise. What kind of expectations do you have of your friends, your family, of yourself? Should you have any expectations at all? And if so, what should they look like? Can we learn to deal with disappointment when an expectation is not met instead of emotionally self-protecting by not creating any expectations at all? Can having high expectations for yourself be a pathway to manifestation? And is the idea of having no expectations an easy way out? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 9 of Soul Rising.
What's up, guys? It's good to be back. It feels like we haven't been able to connect with you guys in a little bit. We've had a little bit of a break, huh?
Yeah, this is another 3-weeker. The summer's, I'm sure everybody is feeling it. Super busy, things going on. So thanks for being patient and still checking in with us and following us.
Absolutely. We're so glad to be back with you guys. Thanks for coming back. It means the world.
Yeah, and we're getting great feedback. Like Ginny's just had a friend yesterday who's listening to all the shows. A friend of mine was like, yes, I listened to every single one. They're
so cool.
Awesome. So it's really nice to get that feedback because it keeps us going. And we just hit over 1,000 downloads.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. That was the coolest thing to be able to see that yesterday. That means everything to know that, you guys are enjoying this, that you're gaining something from it, and hopefully that you are rising a little bit too, right? We're all trying to evolve and grow, and that's huge. That was a cool milestone.
Yeah,
thank you guys for
awesome.
the support.
Yeah, anybody who's brand new here who hasn't listened to anything, this is a Soul Rising podcast, all in on love, loss, and connection. And what we do here is talk about how all human emotion either serves to connect us to ourselves and others, as well as disconnect us from ourselves and others. And Ginny and I feel very passionate about this, given the state of society and where we're at as just a humanity, not even just our society, the entire planet, right? And the disconnection that's going on. Because I personally feel that the pain inside, the chaos inside, the disconnection, these emotions that we don't know how to grapple with are creating the dissonance out there.
Absolutely. It's almost like, what's the answer outside of that, right? I mean, there's so much, and it seems like things are speeding up, and the chaos can definitely feel like it's speeding up. But like Amanda just mentioned, we feel like it's happening the same internally at that same time. We're reflecting it pretty much.
Yeah.
So being able to find a way to start on our own, even, Amanda and myself sit here and work through and sift through some things that we know have been left unhealed. Because, if we can do it, if we can bring out and reflect something a little more positive and something out there that we can find connection and not be afraid of that connection, hopefully we can help others to do the same thing. And that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here, people.
We really don't have any control over anything else. It just seems like things are just continuing to spin, right? In the technological world, the internet, politically, things are just going on without our consent,
right?
Or opinions, or
exactly.
Right? All this stuff is just happening, whether we like it or not,
and fast,
and it can create a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear. And I've been told that I have a bit of a control issue, working on that. But, maybe this is where that's all.
You're doing great, Amanda.
Thanks, Ginny. Appreciate it. Maybe that's where this is all stemming from. I'm trying to grasp at anything that I can to control, not like the outcome of where we're heading, but just my daily feelings and how I'm living.
It's literally the only thing we have a true ability to be able to change the trajectory of. Is what we're in ourselves and how we deal with whatever is happening inside and how that is projecting outward and how we deal with any of it. Those are the only things we genuinely have.
And how beautiful is that we have that kind of control, and then it can reverberate out into the world and to the people around us. Yes.
Yeah. Help each other.
Yeah, help each other, and things can get better. So we have a lot more control, a lot more power. We talk about this all the time. They, quote unquote, want us to think we do. So it's time to rise, people. That's why we're doing this. So thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it. Remember to follow, remember to share, leave a review if you like it, tell your friends.
Hugely helpful, you guys. It's massive. Anytime we're able to get a review or anything like that, it's just like an algorithm, right? It ends up kicking it out there to people who are looking for similar type material. So definitely leave a comment, leave a review, write into us if you have any ideas or, any burning topics that have been sitting with you. Amanda and I are all about connecting with you guys. So send us a note, drop us a line.
I feel it's so important. Like, at the sake of sounding egotistical, I feel that a lot of the stuff we're talking about here on this show is life and death.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we're holding this stuff in, if we don't know how to connect to ourselves and we're running around in a state of anxiety and fear, what are we going to do? We're going to turn to drugs and alcohol. We're going to turn to gambling, getting in debt, shopping, sex, addiction to social media, whatever it is. And that can really bring about some devastating effects, right? We know how stress, we know how pain affects the body and how not dealing with our emotions affects the body. We've been talking about this for so long. It's like, oh my God.
And then talk about even just, tumors can develop, like cancer can arrive, like different things.
From
your
grief.
Immune system, your immune system is shot. Well, again, we've talked about it before, but that whole idea of being in that fight or flight state, it's a very taxing place to be, and all of our adrenaline on everything when we live in a way that we're in fight or flight all the time. And we're just trying to figure out a way to float a little more.
Yes,
to float. Than to be in fight or flight. And
yes. So today we are talking about expectations, all things expectations. We're going to drill down on this one. We're going to pick this one apart. So I'm in 12-step recovery, and there's a thing that people say, and it's probably just not in recovery. Don't have any expectations, and you cannot get hurt. If you do not have any expectations, you will not be disappointed. The way to be happy and free is to have no expectations. I'm going to call bullshit on that right now.
Amanda's calling bullshit.
Right now.
Right now. Yeah, I have to agree a little bit, because if we have no expectations, in my mind, I start to think of like, okay, so do I just let someone treat me like trash? It feels like there's got to be some level of expectation, some structured concept of how a boundary, I guess.
It's very much related to boundaries, like we talked about on our last episode. They kind of go hand in hand, which is why this one's following the last episode. Ginny and I was saying, all right, we could talk boundaries, we could talk expectations, and we're like, they actually kind of go together. So we started with boundaries the last time. And I agree with what Ginny is saying. Like, if I am in a relationship with somebody and I have no expectations of that person and how they're going to show up in that relationship, say, for instance, my marriage, if I have no expectations of my husband to help out with the laundry, to help out with the kids, to plan dinners, to, help me make our lives run smoothly, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to get a resentment.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
But if I communicate to him what my expectations are, and my husband's amazing. He is above and beyond.
Jim's awesome.
He's got a lot of time, too, so he's able to help. Or maybe I'm helping him, right?
Yeah, right. Well, maybe. We're all, hey, Jim, what are your expectations of Amanda?
Yeah, and in any relationship,
it's
a
true.
parent-child relationship.
Friendships even.
Friendships.
Even friendships.
Yeah, like I'm not going to just be friends with somebody that is not holding up their end of the bargain. Relationships are a two-way street.
They are.
And what does that mean then, right? If it's a two-way street.
The thing is, if you're somebody who's also dealing with some codependent type behaviors, it can get very dangerous and in the weeds if you have no expectations about your friendships or the people that are around, because suddenly you find yourself back in that old cycle of giving in order to get the payback of, oh, they love me, or, to have that sense of, I'm a great friend, just that sense of worth, I guess. But then you find yourself attracted to these people who are like shitty friends.
Yeah, takers.
Yes.
Just takers, not givers. And listen, I'm not a tit for tat person.
No.
I'm not like, I'm going to do this for you and then I'm going to expect you to just follow it up.
Right.
I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is just some kind of like basic courtesy and respect in a relationship.
Yeah. And it does come down to that. I think it's a matter of the respect part. It's like just valuing, feeling valued, and also showing value.
And letting me know that you care about this relationship. If I'm going to continue giving myself to this relationship, like, if I don't hear from somebody for a while, if I reach out a couple times, like I'm becoming more willing and able to let them go and realize that this relationship, the expectation I have for it, it's just kind of made up in my head. Like, it's not really like what I think it is. There's just all different levels to this, because if I'm not getting back something from somebody that I need, maybe my expectations are too high. Maybe instead of not having none at all, maybe I lower them. Maybe I create realistic expectations.
Right. Yeah. Or you ask yourself the honest question of, am I having expectations of this person that actually were geared towards someone else? Meaning like I felt abandoned by this situation, maybe abandoned by a parent or something. Like really asking yourself, okay, I have these expectations. They seem to not be like continuously not being fulfilled. But am I expecting this person to heal something that actually has to do with someone totally
It's not their
different?
job. That is not their job.
It's not their job. No.
Yes, that's a great point.
Yes. So like really examining that. How many times, I mean, myself included, man, you hear someone, they're like, God, and I just feel like I'm constantly doing so much for this person and they're not doing anything for me. Well, what's the expectation you have? Well, I want them to make me feel loved or valued or appreciated, and it's like, okay, yeah, like really asking yourself, well, what is that? What's that coming from? The expectation, where it's stemming from.
Yeah, it's all about rigorous honesty, right? Going back to like, what am I really trying to get out of this? And why do I feel the need to be giving? Am I codependent? Am I doing it just for that validation? Is this coming from an honest place inside, or am I looking to get something back? So it's a bit of like a balancing act, I would say. It's like looking at why I'm doing things. Do I have a certain expectation? And is it healthy? Is my behavior healthy? Is what I'm looking to get back from them going to create a healthy relationship? And just really getting totally honest with that. And, am I living in a fantasy world too? Right? Like, am I living in a fantasy world where I'm never, ever going to be able to get, like getting blood from a stone? Am I ever going to be able to get what I need or what I'm expecting from this person? Or am I continuing to live in this fantasy that this person is capable of something that they just aren't?
Right. Yeah. I just was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and it's just comparing the same two things, right? It's like walking into the corner store, the owner's there, he's behind the counter, you're walking in and you're like, hey, so I need you to do heart surgery on me today. He's like, I can tell you about this store, but I can't do heart surgery. And the next day you come back like, hey, sir, I need you to do heart surgery on me today. And he's like, oh, okay, great. Well, I still just own the store. So, you know what I mean? Like having expectations at it and getting the same result, having the same whatever the feeling, if it's abandoned, whatever pain it is, and not recognizing, oh, wait a minute, I'm having expectations, but it's not something this person's capable of providing for me. What is that?
And maybe there's somebody else who can, right? Then go to the heart surgeon if you really need that. Exactly. Like you're saying, like go to the right person to get your needs met and being very honest that, okay, well, this person holds this role in my life, so they should be the one to give me this.
Right.
But maybe they just can't.
Maybe they don't have the tools.
To have the tools, exactly. And if you get creative, you could find the person that actually can fill those needs or expectations.
Or you come to this harsh, sometimes not fun reality that it's actually yourself.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, wait, I have to go heal. I have to be the heart surgeon to go heal the broken part of my heart.
Yeah, like maybe that's why you keep getting let down. Yeah. Maybe because your soul is beckoning for you to actually do that work for yourself and show up for yourself and give yourself the things that you're looking, the validation, the approval, the pat on the back, whatever it is. Maybe you're not getting it met from other people because the message is you need to give it to yourself. That's huge.
Or let it come to the surface even, because I know for myself still all the time, and it's happening. Things have been bringing things up to the surface for me here lately. They're just death and loss and different events. Things that I am certain in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm all healed on that. It's all good. We're good on that. We closed the book on that. And meanwhile, no, it was not healed at all. So maybe part of it is having that opportunity of like, well, let's see what this actually is. Let it rise to the top and sift through it and figure out how to make sense of it and heal it.
Yeah. And I think having a certain amount of expectations of people is showing you that you value yourself, that you have self-worth. You say, I deserve a certain amount of whatever it is, recognition or respect or these things that we're talking about. And you also are allowed to have that for yourself in terms of setting your own expectations for reaching your own dreams, right? Yeah. Like not to keep those things small because you deserve everything in life that you can even dream of. Right? If it pops in your head, if it's there, there's a reason. So not to keep yourself small and keep your expectations of yourself low. Right? Like you're really selling yourself short there. And, it's a fear, right? Maybe I'm going to keep my expectations low because I'm afraid that I'm not going to meet it. So if I keep it low, then I won't feel disappointed and I won't have to feel failure. No. I hear this all the time in meetings and stuff. And I'm like, no, have really big expectations for yourself. And guess what? If they don't get met, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to drink. You're not going to fall on the floor in a puddle. How about we learn how to cope with disappointment instead of trying to avoid it?
Yes, that's such a huge thing. Well, and it's also so easy for us. We live in a world and in a time and in a society where there is something within a moment's reach to numb you out. Always. Even if it's a cat video. It doesn't matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? You're like, I feel real messed up right now. Let me watch this cat. He's going to do the tango. This shit's great. You know what I mean? You're like, and he's got a cowboy hat on. This is awesome.
Yes.
So we have that at a moment's notice. We have the ability to just distract ourselves, completely butcher those expectations. And that's something I've struggled with my entire life. We dream as kids. It's like playing pretend, or these ideas of like these big things that, we could be or can make and can do. And it's like that starts to fade and you become an adult.
Because somebody probably told you can't.
Yes, you're never going to make money as an artist. You can't do that. Like, you're never going to be able to do this.
And maybe
go to school.
Those people's intentions were good.
Of course,
they want
to keep you alive.
Yeah, exactly.
It's safe.
Yeah.
Right. But it's true. It's
but
like
they're also killing your spirit in the same.
Yes. The one spirit, every spark, right? Every little tiny spark that's coming from God, from our creator, all those things. The one time it's going to come and be here in this embodiment. Somehow we get to this point of like being afraid and shutting it down.
Yeah,
because of expectations.
Yeah, I'm really big on the term emotional self-protection. Yeah. And I think avoiding feelings, avoiding the letdown of not reaching a goal or your own personal expectation is just another form of emotional self-protection. If I don't set that bar really high for myself, or really dream these big dreams, then I'm not going to have to feel the pain that's going to come, not just if I don't reach it, but on the journey toward getting there. You're going to have to go through all this stuff, right? So is it an easy way out? Like, am I keeping my bar low so that I don't have to then go through these different emotions that I'm going to have to feel as I am reaching these goals?
Right, because it's never just like point A to point B on anything. Small goals, if it's like, I want to lose 10 pounds, or if it's like, I just want to not drink as much coffee, whatever it is, it's never A to B, it just happens. There's always
one step forward, two steps back, or hopefully 2 steps forward, one step back, 2 steps forward.
Yeah.
So I think we should be dreaming big. I think we should be having great expectations for ourselves. And then when it comes to people in relationships, realistic expectations, I think, are compassionate for the other person and for you to say, what is actually capable here? We're not expecting the guy in the corner store to do heart surgery, right? Like this guy, I expect him to, I don't know, have the Red Bull stocked every day, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like give people the grace if they cannot do something for you that you think they should be doing, even if it is in their role, right? If it's a parent or a spouse or something like that you're like, they're this person in my life and they're supposed to be doing this, giving this to me, acting this way. It's very compassionate to really take that hierarchy of roles away, is what I call it in my book, actually. And I ask people if they are capable of looking at everybody just as souls, just as souls.
Right.
Like little orbs of light.
Like a job.
Yeah, we're all little orbs of light. And if I could take away that expectation of, well, you're in that role and you're supposed to be treating me this way, maybe I am supposed to be helping that person with something.
That's a great point. Even, for instance, like, let me see if I'm following you right. But even if, like, where you normally would be expecting a parent to do a certain level of something, you might be the person who's actually teaching the parent something.
Exactly.
Or a sibling or a whatever. Even in a friendship, you're right. We have these ideas. It's almost like we cast the show ahead of time. We're like, well, this is you. This is your role. This is what you're supposed to do.
Because we're comfortable in that. We're very comfortable in roles. I remember being in therapy. The first time I went into therapy I don't even know, it was like 15 years ago. And she said, you're very comfortable knowing your role. You like knowing where you stand with people. That's why I used to place myself either above you or below you.
Interesting.
Because if I was just here with you, meeting you, I don't necessarily know who to be and how to act and what's
Almost
going to
like you
happen.
can't navigate, right? Like they say, you can't see the forest through the trees. If you're right there in it, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You can't really gauge the barometer.
Yes, so I
interesting.
choose a role, either above or below, and then I assign certain expectations to those roles.
Right. That's all got to be just like preservation stuff, right? It's got to be like preservation tools.
Going back to what we always talk about, Ginny and I talk all the time,
All the
probably on
time.
every show, about the survival, that we needed these tools. We needed to do this to escape the buffalo. But
Right.
but we don't need this stuff anymore. And that's, again, why we're here, is to try and help you break these chains and create these shifts and help you navigate these shifts.
Right. How to kind of hack our brain and our behaviors a little bit that are still there from DNA. Like they're there. We have these instinctive things. And we've stayed alive and continued to evolve as a human race because of it. And a lot of people die in the mix of that.
Yeah, and maybe, when Mr. Caveman was going out to spear the buffalo, Mrs. Caveman had an expectation that you're going to come back with a piece of meat for us to eat tonight.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
And if he didn't come back with a piece of meat,
yeah.
guess what? There was no booty happening for a long time, That needed to be. She needed to put that expectation on him because he had to feel that stress, feel that pressure because he had to perform. He had to come back with that meat. Yes.
They weren't going to survive otherwise.
Yeah, you don't need that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. And it comes up so often. And I want to learn more because when I hear people make comments about the fact that we've evolved so much and the world has evolved so much and our brains have evolved, but that the DNA and our wiring just hasn't in like thousands and thousands of years. That's fascinating to me.
But it's going to, and the stuff, this hard work that we're doing now is shifting that
Changing
DNA.
the hard wiring.
Yes, that's why things are so freaking hard right now, because that is not easy.
And I'm hearing so many people, like even on podcast people I love, and I'm sure you have too, Amanda. Maybe it's just because, again, that algorithm, right? But so many people are talking about ancestral healing. And I was like, did they listen to our show? And then why did they think that? I was like, oh, that's so cool. They must have listened to our show. No,
a lot of people are talking about this stuff, and it's getting around pretty quick. So so when talking about expectation and going back to like that your value and your self-worth is not tied into somebody meeting an expectation or not, it's okay. We say in recovery too, wear life like a loose garment. You can have an expectation. If somebody doesn't meet it, so what? Right? We don't have to be grinding an axe for this person.
Right. Fixate on it.
Our whole life.
Yeah.
And because if my self-worth and my value is intact, what you do or what you don't do is not going to affect me.
Yeah. Well, it's none of my business.
You will have less, expectation. You won't need to set an expectation, just like we talked about last time. You won't need to set some kind of boundary if other people's behavior is not determining your level of worth.
Well, in recovery too, it's like I remember always hearing that and having it affect me. Like, if you've done something to upset me, if you've done something that harms my state of like how I feel right now, that's on me. Thing about me that's not healed yet. I remember hearing that and really being annoyed.
Yes.
The first time I heard that, I'm like, what kind of nonsense is this? I'm like, no, this person did this, and this to me. But of course, in reference to recovery, it's like you really are being guided to gain a set of tools that helps you not put a substance in your body, but helps you live with what's going on around you because you can't change all the shit around you. Like, we have no ability to change those things around us. So I remember that first instinct of like, well, hold on. So people aren't responsible and they commit crimes. And no, it's not that. But if I'm really bent out of shape about something, clear indicator, something is wrong.
Yes.
With something is very unhealed in me.
Yeah. And Ginny, when she was talking before, about blaming you or it's you, she was pointing her finger. And we also say in recovery, there's one pointing out and there's three pointing back, right? Take your finger, point it right now, stick your thumb in the air, point your finger, and you'll see those three fingers pointed back at you. It's all about us, and it's all about our perception.
The more we're digging into this as we talk about it, it just keeps coming in my mind, like the thought of really examining why we have expectations of specific, like what that really is, really examining, like let me ask myself before, since I'm sitting here hurt and upset because they didn't include me and they invited everyone else to the dinner, but not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, instead of being hurt and wounded, let me ask myself, like, what? Okay. Why did you have that expectation of this person?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is it? And a lot of times if I can hear myself, well, because I invite them, or because I do this for them, if you really listen to yourself, you're like, okay. So you are expecting maybe some of this was more of, I've done this to get it back from you, you know?
That, and also I just want to be invited because I want you to want me. I want you to love me. I want
Right.
you to like me. Right.
Isn't that funny? Have you ever had this happen too, where like somebody doesn't include you in on something, you actually really don't want to go, but you want to be invited?
I say in my book, I'm the person who wants to be invited to the party I don't want to go to. Like,
It's so true.
that is
What is wrong
me.
with us? What's wrong with us?
And then, yeah. Like recently, I had some friends go on a vacation and they didn't invite me. And I was like, my first instinct was like, oh, why didn't they invite me? And then my second thought was, well, they never have ever invited me. These people have been taking trips together forever and I've never been included. And B, do I really even want to go? Like, what is it about? Like, I just want to be wanted. I guess because it goes back to the emotional abandonment stuff we talk about a lot.
So much.
And the feeling less than, and us being active alcoholics at one point in our life, we were the quote unquote losers. And we wanted to prove ourselves to people that we weren't these losers, stuff like that. So it's so much deeper. It's never about that initial gut default reaction of like, oh, they should have invited. No, well, why? Why do you need to be invited?
Yeah. And that's not comfortable, guys. Like, even in myself, I'm literally listing in my head right now, like 10 times, because I've had problems with this. I've had challenges, I should say, throughout my life of having expectations in my mind, really letting and having it just viscerally cut me to the core when I allow myself to believe that somebody's not wanting me to be a part of. Oh my gosh, like I can think of so many times in my mind right now. And if I could pick even just one and stop and say, okay, why did that hurt your feelings? It's so much about this like self-worth thing and
fitting in, never wanting to feel like an outsider or different.
Putting it on them and expecting, well, they should have known that this would have hurt my feelings. They should have known this would make me feel excluded. And I needed to not feel excluded. And it's like, ooh, man, yeah, those were expectations you're having on someone and you didn't even know why. Like, you didn't even know it was tied to some other pain that you haven't addressed yet.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
It's really huge that when you can sit with that and get really real with yourself and say, what is this about? Why am I actually placing an expectation on somebody? Because then if they meet it, if they do what I want them to do, then it's going to make me feel good. We should be filling our own voids. We should be filling those needs ourselves. Because
it also becomes this thing, and I'm sure in marriages, relationships in general, it also becomes this thing, well, now they've done that once or twice, so now they got to do this, they got to do that again and something else.
Yes, then we raise the bar.
Yes,
it's never enough.
It's never enough because they're not the heart surgeon.
Exactly. I had a situation once where somebody had said to me, you know, you have such a low expectation of so-and-so, but you hold me to such a high standard. It's such a high bar. And at first I was like, you know what, they're right. Maybe that's not fair. And then somebody said to me, well, shouldn't she be glad that you hold her to a higher standard than that other person? Right? So maybe having expectations of people are not so terrible because you're actually saying, I believe in you. I believe that you can do this. I believe that you're capable of giving me that love or doing this thing for me or whatever. So maybe if somebody holds me to a higher expectation, maybe it's going to encourage me to elevate myself a little bit to reach that thing. Like instead of having no expectation or no standards for anybody or anything, are we just accepting mediocrity? Maybe we need to be empowering people to say, no, I actually believe that you can do that.
Right.
You know, and now I'm thinking about like society too and things that are going out there in the world. And this might be a little bit of a touchy subject, right?
Absolutely. I got to tell you, my husband, Tom, who's an amazing educator and teacher and has been doing it for a really long time, talks a lot about expectations. And he talks about how kids will rise to the expectations that you hold them at a lot of times. A child will rise to what you show them you believe they can do. And they will also lower.
They will go down to what you believe they can do.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
And yes, so we all can understand that, like, well, of course, children need that. well, why wouldn't we need the same, kind of structure?
I appreciate that my parents expected me to get good grades in high school because you pushed me to get good grades in high school. I appreciate when somebody believes in me that I could do that. I appreciate when my home group expects me to show up.
Yeah.
Because I am a valuable member of the group and I have experience, strength, and hope to share with them, right? I appreciate that my husband expects me to pull my weight in our marriage and that my children expect me to lay on the couch and cuddle with them because I'm capable of showing up and being love and doing those things. So instead of giving me the easy way out, right? That's why one of the questions in the beginning is having no expectations, the easy way out. I could just do whatever I want, whenever I want, and I don't really have to show up and produce and be a valuable member of society. I could just be whatever because there's no expectation of me. That is detrimental. I'm sorry.
You're right. No, you're
sorry,
100%.
not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. No, you're absolutely correct. Well, and also because I think we have the ability to see each other's potential too. Most of the time, we're not going to show somebody like the greatness you see in them. Most of the time, we have this defense mechanism of taking people down a peg.
Like if we don't see it in ourselves, then we can't hold somebody else to that expectation.
Yeah,
that's why we're doing this.
That's Ginny. That's why we're doing this. Every now and again, a little nugget comes out and it's like, oh, she rambled for 20 minutes, but that shit made some sense. I like that. Hey, take what works, you guys.
Exactly.
Occasionally.
Okay, elaborate on that.
Yeah. Where were we at with that? I'm like,
we're both kind of like a little squirrely today. We have a lot of stuff going on. I friggin' slammed my head against a wall this weekend. Holy cow, people. Can I tell you this story? We will get back to expectations.
I'm sorry, but hashtag sorry, not sorry. I wish that I was in the room. Okay, please.
Okay, so I was in New York for my book launch party.
Yay! By the way, go get the book. You guys, if you haven't gotten it yet, go get the book. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it. Tell me all the places.
Yeah, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Those are really like the two main places. I have in a bunch of like indie bookstores and stuff around the town that I live in and up in Fort Collins. But go on my website. You can get it. AmandaMcCoyFlanagan.com.
Yes.
So I was there from my book launch, which was a lot of fun. It was awesome. Thank you to everybody who showed up. And goddamn, those expectations of the ones who didn't. No.
Right. And by the way, those of you who didn't, go screw yourself. Speaking of expectations, however, though, I had
it is all good. I totally believe whoever's supposed to be there is supposed to be there.
Do you know how many people I know that haven't listened to this podcast yet? And not, I thought for sure.
Expectation. Yes, I wanted to talk about that too. Expectation of like the people in my life that I think should be showing up and supporting me that aren't. It's all okay. We're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, so I'm in New York. My friend's son wants to... Sorry for the background noise, if you could hear any background noise.
Are we vacuuming?
No,
Do we have a car
I think
wash
that's
down
the
here?
water. We're in my basement in the meditation cave, so I think that's water. That might be the sprinkler system, or that's water of some sort. So I don't know. Hopefully that'll go away.
Definitely giving me car wash vibes.
Is that the washing machine? The dryer? Are these mics that good? It's picking up the dryer.
I know. These are great mics.
That'll stop. Sorry, guys. Okay. Sorry. I'm at home. We're a little ghetto here. We're not like in a studio. We're just doing this thing. So you're going to hear some noise. Okay, so I'm in New York. My friend's son wants to come and work out in the fitness center. Not even work out. He's 5 years old. He wants to come and run on the treadmill.
Talk about expectations,
amazing.
Kid.
Yeah, he's amazing. So we're in the fitness center, and I see what I think is a slam ball. And I'm like, these balls, like you just slam them on the ground and they stay there, and then like you pick them up, and I'm like, I want to show him. But we realize, he picks up, we realize that it bounces. So I'm like,
slam ball.
Oh, I guess this is like a medicine ball, I think is what they call it. This thing bounces. So I go over to him, I'm like, look, this is how you would use a slam ball. I pick it up. Literally, I just saw him bounce it. I picked the thing up. I put it over my head. I lift it up over my head. Like I'm a He-Man. And I take this thing and I slam it down as hard as I can. And I squat down with it like, you would do a slam ball. The thing bounced up in my face. I don't even know how many pounds of pressure. And I must have this thing slammed right into my face. I went back and then I slammed the back of my head into the wall. Oh my God.
You kicked your own ass.
I do it sometimes. You know?
Apparently,
A song,
that is
My Own Worst Enemy. Every now and then I kick the shit out of me. Yeah, that's me. That's me. Hello.
I mean, for you to have that kind of force, for it to slam you back into, were you okay? Did you
No,
fall to
I was not okay. But there was somebody else working out, and I was like, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna
Did they
cry.
come up like, ma'am, are you
No.
all right?
No, I think he probably just looked and was like, what an idiot.
He's all, oh boy.
No, if it was just me and my family, I would have been on the floor. Definitely would have been on the floor. It was friggin' bad. My whole face like turned numb. I was like in shock. I busted up both my lips.
You're lucky you didn't like knock a tooth out.
I was that was what I was the most
your
concerned about.
nose.
I was the most concerned about.
your nose
or
is
my
still
nose.
bruised.
I have a big bruise on my nose, and it's a little bit swollen.
You should have just given me some story. You should have been like, yeah,
Some
I was
really
in New
good
York,
story.
and we were going to this one, some cool New Yorker story.
Yeah, and then somebody came over and punched me in the
Yeah,
face.
and I was like, what do you think this is? And and then she leveled him.
I roundhouse kicked him right to the.
Roundhouse then ends up in a dumpster. Not like it was this ball and a 5-year-old.
The sheer stupidity of
this.
like, what did I just do to myself? Anyway, I'm just glad it was on Monday and not Sunday when I had the party that night.
So thank God, because
Yeah.
the book launch was Sunday. This happened Monday.
But I was out of it. I may have even given myself like a mild concussion. I mean, I saw my nephews Monday night and I was like in another world. I was just like in another zone. I was like, what just happened?
Probably.
It was bad.
Crazy.
It was really bad. Anyway, so back to expectations, everybody. I don't even know how that story popped in there. But anyway, I hope you
it's
enjoyed it.
great.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I don't care what we were talking about. It needed to happen.
It needed to happen because I'm human and I do stupid things.
Maybe it just ties into even sometimes when we have expectations of ourselves, we don't always meet those either. How many times do we hear this? Like, I already know this is bad for me. Why am I continuing to do it?
Like the other day, I just had a thought and then I went over and I like literally picked up a pot. I did something. I burned myself. I don't even remember what it was. I think I went and picked up like a really hot pot and I burned myself. And then I was like, what was the thought I just had before that? I was feeling bad about myself. And then I went over and touched something hot. So, guys, I'm a work in progress here. I got a little bit of self-sabotage still going on.
God.
I bet a lot of you do too. So,
Yes.
welcome. Welcome to the show.
Join us. Bring all your chaos. We love it.
So we kind of like have a little idea of like how life works and how we should be doing things, but doesn't mean that we always do it.
No.
That's why Ginny said when we opened, like, we're healing with you.
Oh my God.
So thank you for giving us the opportunity to sit here and continue doing this stuff and talking about this because now I am healing a little bit because now I'm aware of these behaviors that I still do to kick my own butt.
Right. Especially when it comes to the self-sabotage stuff. Holy mac. And that's the other part too. It's almost making a story true. That's the other thing, right? Where we're talking about expectations, and we have these expectations of ourselves that we almost subconsciously fail at so that we can continue to kick our own ass. There's some of that too.
Yes.
And I wish I could unravel the science behind why. Yeah. Why would I do it? Why would I? And it's a weird dance between ego / ass kicking. It's like, I know I can do this, and you have yourself set up to do it, and then you fail at it so that you can go, see, you weren't able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That
You
little
weren't capable
devil
of doing that.
That little devil on the shoulder.
I just feel like there's got to be little ways to hack some of these thoughts before they snowball, like in our mind, right? Or these expectations.
Yeah. And I think it's very simple. I mean, I talk about being love, acting with love, acting with compassion, and for others, and then for ourselves. So if I can just create this kind of mantra of like, whatever expectation I don't meet of myself, whatever expectation you don't meet from me, that does not dictate my level of worth. I am still lovable. I am still good. I am still valuable, no matter what I do or what anybody else is doing around me.
Exactly.
Like if I could just keep that, that's going to raise my energy. That's going to raise my frequency. That's going to make me feel more connected to myself because I'm going to like myself a little bit more when I believe that I'm not A, B, and C. If I just have this constant thread, this constant thought all the time of my goodness and my glory and that I am a child of the universe and that I belong here, all that kind of stuff. It's so simple.
It is,
but there's so much to distract us and take us away from that. And that ego in our brain, it's a constant battle.
It's a constant battle. It's almost like an anchor. just having that anchor is like you could be a boat just cruising out in the water.
Metaphor Ginny. If you don't know her, let me introduce you.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Metaphor Ginny. It's how I associate and learn things in life all the time.
And
I was
I love
like, hey,
it.
it's kind of like this.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know
tell
why.
us about the boat.
Yeah, but just the idea of like you can be in a boat wandering, like you'll just go and go and go. The water will take you there, just like our thoughts can go and take us there. But if you have an anchor, like an anchoring thought even, or that anchor to ourselves, that connection to ourselves, you can always drop that anchor and come back to like exactly what you just said, that mantra of I'm worthy to be here. Like I am love. I am lovable. I am here for a purpose. Didn't come here for no reason at all, and getting back to that anchored thought of I'm a child of God. I'm a piece of God. Like being able to know where the anchor's at, right? It's almost like there'll be times we're wandering off, drifting away. We're like, oh shit, how do I stop these thoughts? Well, where's the anchor?
Yeah, and using that metaphor, I love the ocean. You can be out in that boat and you know that you have that anchor and it's always there. It's not always down, right? We're not always throwing the anchor down. Sometimes it's on board. And we might hit a vicious storm, right? We might hit this crazy hurricane out in the middle of the ocean. To trust that I know I have that anchor and things are going to slow down. And as soon as I can, I'm going to throw that anchor right back down and I'm going to be good again, right? To trust.
That's right.
That is going to be my saving grace. That also reduces my need to set all these expectations. If I just know that I'm going to be okay no matter what happens, and that whatever expectation that I set that doesn't get met, it doesn't mean anything. It's not indicative of anything. So I can have an expectation and strive, like we're saying, like expectations are good, but I'm not dependent on the outcome of those
Huge
expectations to help me feel anchored.
Matter
that foundation, no matter what, no matter what comes, no matter what goes, no matter who stays, no matter who leaves.
Exactly. That is always there. And that's, I guess it's part of the whole journey here, right? I mean, it's part of what we're trying to do. I don't think anybody just immediately walks through life instinctively having that, unless you figure out how to meditate. Again, some people have. We have our gurus. We have the people. We have a old Chewy.
Chewy, yes. Did you guys know that? Chewy is what?
Well, Chewy, okay, so we talk about how Jesus, right? Like no one else aside from like Hispanic culture, the nickname for Jesus is Chewy. We were talking about something and I was like, oh yeah, because she has a direct contact to Chewy. And she's like, Chewy? I'm like, that's a nickname for Jesus.
Yeah, I've never heard that. Chewy.
Kind of funny. Yeah, there we go, right? Just a nickname for Jesus. But anyway, yeah, there are people who have figured it out, but it's taken some focus, some meditation, some prayer, some digging down, right? Underneath
some getting real, some feeling, right? And I think we're all being called to get closer to Chewy.
What? Yes.
Whatever way. And let me preface that. Listen, whatever, not Jesus.
Yeah.
Your higher self.
Your higher self. Because it's there and it'll be here till you're done with this journey. I don't know if I sent you that video, random things that scroll on our news feeds, but someone had a video talking about how you being here at this time is like you literally won the lottery. Like this guy he was a little more out there and progressive in his thinking, but he was saying in like spirit from all across the universe, all they're standing by watching everything we're all doing to come here and evolve into.
Yeah, we've talked about being on the main stage. The big show. the big show. Yeah. And like I've heard that we could have chosen to go to other places where everything is lovely.
Yes.
We might think that's heaven or whatever, but there are apparently other planets, other places that we could go where like flowers are singing and like everything's great and yada yada. But we chose to be here for this work.
For this work and for the contrast and to change it, to literally be a spark and to be a piece of this thing transitioning and evolving and changing. So if you are here, and it doesn't matter if you're the person who's literally laying on the street homeless, or you're the guy who's running, or the female who's running some massive company and you have an obscene amount of money, or you're the person who came up with the cure for, a disease we didn't have before, it doesn't matter. If you are here, you are somebody who specifically for all the gifts that you have, you came here for this time, at this time, to be a part of this massive evolution.
Yeah, and if you like that, go check out episode 4, What's Your Purpose? Because we really dive into that a lot. So also one of the questions we were talking about when we opened the show was, can we use expectation as a form of manifestation?
Right. I absolutely
what else?
think so.
What else is prayer? It's just all different words, right?
It's
or wishes. True. It's all an expectation.
Intention.
an intention. I'm setting an intention. I would like this thing to occur.
Maybe that's like something.
That's an expectation.
Maybe expectation can just be another form of intention.
And maybe we can shift the definition. And I think that's also what's going on in society right now, and what people like us are trying to do out there is take these ideas that we've had, like forgiveness or whatever, these things that we've had drilled into us as it having a certain meaning for so many years, and expand on it. I like the word expansion. I like the word expansive. I like to take topics and ideas that are already out there and not negate them,
right?
Not discount them or dismiss them, but expand on it. Take what's already there. Some of these things are just complete, like you just gotta get rid of it. But for the most part, stuff that we've been talking about for centuries and centuries do hold a bit of
like they hold their weight. Like they have meaning. They have
these things hold their weight,
right?
And they have a meaning, exactly. So how can we now take what wasn't serving us, how we can use this today in a way that's going to bring us forward into that evolution of consciousness? So maybe that word expectation can have a different meaning or a different idea attached to it, and not such a negative thing. Oh, I'm going to be like heartbroken if they don't meet my expectation.
Because even when you hear expectation, if we were playing a game of like, is it love? Is it fear? Does it come from love or fear? Like if you could just pick one button.
I like that game.
Buzzer.
I like that game.
Yeah, be like, hit the buzzer. When I hear the word expectation, I immediately, it's comes from fear. Isn't that weird? It's not a positive. When I hear expectation, it's automatically a hardened feeling. It's it's
similar to the word confrontation, like in terms of that negative connotation already being thrown on that, because you have this preconceived notion of what that expectation means, or taking it with the word confrontation, like confrontation is just to approach something. You don't have to, it doesn't have to turn into a fight. It doesn't have to be a conflict. That's not what confrontation means. Expectation does not have to carry that
negative connotation to it. I think I talked about this too in hearing my favorite little shaman lady, songbird grandmother. She's amazing. Talking about responsibility, having the same kind of concept and I think we might have been on Patrick's show, which was amazing. That responsibility, when you hear responsibility, it's automatically a very heavy, weighted.
What am I going to have to step up to?
What am I going to have to do? Yeah. And she said in ancient times and older times, the way that the word was there, it just meant your ability to respond to something. Responsibility.
Your ability.
Yes. That it's your ability to respond to that circumstance and in a healthy or strong way. But you hear that word and it's this heavy weighted thing. She was saying it's not really like in my culture or in these ancient times, it's not what it was. It was your ability to respond to the circumstances.
Yeah, because you hear responsibility, it's like, oh, I'm going to have to do this big thing. Or this expectation, oh, I'm going to have to meet this big challenge.
Right.
No, it doesn't need to be like that. We are so dysfunctional.
We are a hot mess.
We're like at the pinnacle of dysfunction.
It's so crazy. Well, and because I think it's somewhat hilarious that we're caught in between these worlds of having old instincts but evolving spirits.
Yes.
That we're caught in this place.
It's 100% what it is.
Yeah. We're in the middle road. We're almost the bridge. We've got all these tools. We've got all this ability and all this, almost like, again, there I go. Like, for instance, your computer, right? Having having badass software. I think we have badass software and super outdated computers. I think the software's we're like, hey, we got all this new stuff, all these new things we could do. And it's like, oh, but this hard wiring, that's going to take a long time. We don't our evolution physically has taken thousands of years.
And I guess that's kind of how it is. Like when I go through any sort of personal growth, my head and my heart are always in a bit of a different place.
Yeah.
Like my heart could be there, but my head is still pulling me back.
Yes.
It's the same idea of the spirit as being the heart, and then the old, what we're accustomed to, those old thought patterns, those old behaviors are our head that's pulling us back. So usually I play a little catch up sometimes. It takes a little time. So give time. That's another phrase I love. Give time. Give time, right? Like just let time do its thing. And while we're on this journey, navigating this thing together, try and take some of these tools that we're talking about, what a lot of other people are talking about, and try to implement them in the most genuine and earnest and self-compassionate way you possibly can.
So huge.
Like, we're getting back to what we were talking about before, my stupid slam ball, medicine ball, smacking myself in the face.
You mean that story I've heard all week? That story?
Total
I'm so sorry,
ridiculous.
busted your face, but
anyway, you were starting to talk about how if we have our own sense of goodness or self-worth, that I can do this, I can reach that expectation I have set, then I'm going to be able to see it in you.
Absolutely.
That you can also do that.
Yes.
That if I don't believe I can do it, I'm not going to believe you can do it.
Absolutely not. There's no way. Yeah, there's no way that we can even see it in each other if we're not seeing it in ourselves.
Yeah,
first.
that's a total spiritual, ancient principle right there, tried and true.
So yeah, show up for yourself too. Man, that's the biggest thing here, you guys. Have some love on yourself. And if you've had a hard week this week, or you've had some crazy life thing happen, or you've had loss, or you've found something new you didn't know about yourself, or I mean, there are so many things. It feels like it's everywhere right now. Be kind with yourself. And again, have those expectations. Expect that you deserve all the love, no matter what is going on. And start having some of those expectations, just being gentler on yourself. We need
we
that.
could have gentle expectation.
Yeah, gentle expectation. I like it. I like it.
So, all right, so let's throw out the challenge.
Yeah.
I like lists. I like writing. I like to see things in black and white on paper. It helps me to organize my thoughts. So, think of a person in your life that maybe you're having a difficult time with. Write down how it would feel to have no expectation of that person, how it might feel to have a realistic expectation of that person, and what it would look like to have an outrageous expectation of that person.
That is a really good challenge.
Figure out what feels good to you. Not what we're telling you to do, not what anybody else is telling you to do. What feels good to you. Trust your spirit and your intuition to speak to you and to say, you know what, it actually feels good to me to have no expectation, or it actually feels really good to have the realistic. We shouldn't really have the outrageous expectations of other people, but do this exercise for you. Right. How would it feel to have an outrageous expectation for yourself in terms of, again, we're talking about the manifestation, all that kind of stuff. And you get to drive that ship. Don't let any outside influences and what you're hearing determine for you how you feel about this or anything else, right? So get really honest with that. And if you're okay having no expectations, great. If it feels less anxiety reducing to you to not ever feel like that letdown or that disappointment, and if you view that as the most compassionate way of loving a person, then great, go with that. Like what we say all the time, take what you need, leave the rest kind of thing. So write that down, see how you feel with the difficult relationships in your life, and then also mostly with yourself. Focus mostly on yourself. You know, and this is not across the board for every single person in your life, right? Like, I think very often we think in very black and white terms. This is the way I operate, and this is how it's going to apply to every single person in my life.
Right.
I once had a sponsor who did the same exact thing with every single sponsee. Like, that's just what she did.
Like, that was the program for, like, just the...
Yeah, this is just how it works.
Yeah.
And this is how it worked for her, and this is how she does it. And that's great. Maybe that works for some people. It didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I don't do that with my own, because everybody is different.
Yeah.
And this person might receive a message differently than another person. I like to think about it with the expectation setting as well. Like, I might be able to hold so-and-so to a different expectation where somebody else, I know I can't, and that's okay. Get honest with the people in your life, where they're at, what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And then you can either choose to not have any expectation or create expectations, again, that are realistic.
Ooh, can I throw something in that
Please.
just came up with all this? Because this is causing me, which is fantastic, Amanda. That's what we want from these challenges. Also, to ask yourself when you're doing this exercise, what is the end result you're looking to feel from the expectation? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if it's like, I'm going to see what it feels like to have the ridiculously high expectation of this person, what is it? What's the end goal? What is it I'm looking to feel by the end of that?
Or like, what's your motive?
Kind of like, what are you looking to feel at the end of it? So if I have an
What do you wanna get out
expectation
of
of you, because ultimately we're looking for a feeling, right?
Ultimately, we're human beings with certain parts of our brain that make us, the ego or whatever, that everything is in relation to
to us, right? So are you looking to feel safe from that? I expect this person to return my phone call when I call. Okay, why? What is it I'm looking for? Well, I'm looking to feel like they value my friendship. Like, ask yourself as we do this exercise with the person, what's the thing you're searching for at the end of that expectation if they meet it?
Yeah, and are you okay if they don't? Are you okay? What are you looking to feel?
What are you looking to feel?
And then
Because I
adjust your
think-
expectations.
Yeah. It's easier to at least grapple with the expectations or not having them met if you know what it is you're trying to gain or seek out of the expectation.
Yeah, and then you might change your expectation if you see the truth of it.
It may go from super high, crazy, outrageous to, hey, I can be fine with actually having it be right here. Because then I feel like our relationship is solid or safe or whatever we're looking for, but to know what we're looking for too.
Exactly. Like if I put this expectation so high and they don't meet it, it's going to ruin the relationship. So maybe I'm going to lower it a little bit to where this person is capable. That is like the highest form of compassion as well, right? To say like, I see this person's limitations in a relationship. Like even in my relationship with my husband, I think every relationship has their limitations.
Of course.
I have to get honest about that or else I'm going to be constantly disappointed. So I have certain expectations in one department and then I have realistic expectations in another and then I have no expectations in another. So it's not one size fits all.
No, not at all. That's why this is a good challenge because it can definitely give you an opportunity to, as we say, like drill down or dig a little deeper. If you're dealing with feeling let down right now by somebody and those expectations, use that person. Use that person specifically. Get a journal, notebook, paper, whatever, and write some of these things out. Exactly what Amanda's been explaining. And at the end of that, just ask yourself and consciously be keeping it in the forefront of your mind. Okay, this is the expectation. What was I hoping to get out of it? Why is this the expectation?
And also, keeping the relationship in mind if that's what you want. A therapist said to me once, you don't do what's good for you. You don't do what's good for them. You do what's best for the relationship. If you're really interested in maintaining this relationship, the relationship has to be the focus. So you could also adjust your expectations based on what's going to be best for the relationship if that's truly the end result you're looking for.
Yeah. So knowing that, I think will be helpful. This is awesome. And I'm actually going to give myself this challenge this week too.
Me too.
Oh, I have lots of expectations of people.
Yeah, I was just back in New York, that brings up a whole bunch of stuff.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
When we go back to our hometown.
Old stomping grounds.
So crazy.
Yeah.
And then when people don't meet them, you're all, oh God, what's happening? You feel so disoriented.
Yeah.
This is such a huge thing
All
to
right.
be able to look at it.
Yeah, well, I hope you guys got something out of this show.
Yes.
Please reach out, give us some comments. Our email address is soulrisingpodcast@gmail.com. We are on Instagram at soulrising, again, SOL. Check out Ginny's. Ginny is rocking it in the furniture, upcycling, refurbishing, rehabbing world.
All
She's
the
doing
things.
awesome. So go follow the Flippin' Phoenix.
Yes, the Flippin' Phoenix.
Yeah, so check us out in all the places. And
AmandaMcCoyFlanagan.com, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. And
we love you guys.
Yeah.
We're so glad you're here with us.
So grateful that you stuck around. So grateful you're still here. Pass on the good word, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Have a good one. Peace.
If this podcast resonates with you and you want to dive deeper, check out my blog, Get Real, all in on love, loss, and connection at AmandaMcCoyFlanagan.com. That's McCoy with a K. You can also follow me on Instagram at Amanda McCoy Flanagan.
See you next time. Until then, let that soul rise.